Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Dropout here. I just want to be really quick here. This is the quick settings for FPS and visual. I'll just show some snippets, some pictures from my settings. It'll be just a slideshow basically between all of them. And you can see I have low for everything that is necessary, and I'll explain everything in the video if you want to watch. If not, you can just look through this, pause it, whatever, and get your settings and leave. But I'll be explaining this in the video if you want to stay around and watch. If not, that's alright. Thank you guys, and I'll see you later. Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Jopod here. I'm going to be showing you guys how to make your game look better without sacrificing FPS and to get a gain, in a sense, on other people. So what we're going to do is hop over here to graphics, and we're going to make sure that graphics on custom. Brightness is at 55. You can try 60. It just depends what you like. And sharpness, you can try 65, but I wouldn't go any higher than that, as that will hit your FPS. So here we go in graphics quality. Texture quality, you want to keep it on high. You want your game to look good. As you can see, it doesn't really hit us that hard, you know, changing it down. It does hit your VRAM, but hopefully by now you have an 8 GB card. If not, then you can turn that down. Texture filtering, you want to keep it on high. It makes your game look better. It does sacrifice a little bit of your GPU, but it's worth it. Mesh quality, you won't really notice a difference. You want to keep it on low, and it really does hit your FPS kind of hard. Same with terrain. Terrain is kind of just the ground. I don't know if you care about it, but if it's on low, it also will get rid of rocks in the distance, and you'll be able to see people through them in a sense. It's kind of how it goes on every game. It's the same way. Undergrowth, you want to keep that on low. Doesn't really do much. I didn't really notice a big difference in testing. Effects, it's, you know, generally like explosions and stuff like that. Gunshots that you may see in the air. I keep it on high. You can keep it on low. It just depends on your graphics card. Volumetric quality, keep it on high. It sits on ultra by default, but I don't really notice a big difference until it's on low. Lighting quality, you want to keep it on low. It's better that way. You can keep it on high, but honestly, lighting in this game doesn't really matter unless you want the effects to look cool. But for a tactical game, you want to keep it on low. Local light and shadow quality, I honestly didn't really notice so much of a big difference here. It takes up too much when it's on high. As you can see, it goes up really high when I turn it up. Sun shadow quality, keep it on medium. If it's on low, you see a lot of jagged edges on the shadow and it looks really shitty, but it doesn't take up that much when it's on medium and it looks decent. PCF, PCSS is, they're the same thing, I'm not gonna lie. But it says it's high on GPUs, so I'm gonna keep it on PCF. Reflection quality, low. We're not looking in the water to see ourselves or anything like that off the windows. Screen space reflections off. It generally is just better that way. And the rest, we can keep like that. And here, make sure NVIDIA Reflex Low Latency is enabled and boost. Anti-aliasing, you can try off, but I like it, you know, curved edges. I don't like the jagged edges that you may see. It's better for tactical gain, though, if you're trying to do that. Here's all this shit, too, if we want to see that. Kind of blocks our view here. Field of view, 120. Most of the FPS games you play are sitting at 103. I think CSGO and Valorant are sitting there, so I don't know if you play those games, but that's what they're at. And if you're noticing a big FPS hit, turn it down to 103. I wouldn't go lower. It makes your game look shitty. Motion blur, turn that all off. Keep this on narrow, because your weapon, it's on wide, it makes your gun bigger, like in your view. Chromatic aberration and vignette and film grain, turn these off. It's just filters over your screen that are unnecessary, unless you're playing campaign or something like that. VSync, turn that off. And then motion for your HUD, turn that off. It does nothing. And everything else here you can keep on. Audio settings, high dynamics is what you want to change it to. Default mix is fine, but this gives you better highs and lows for footsteps and gunshots to tell directions and all that. So I'd keep it on high dynamics. Camera effects here, again, just make sure all this stuff's off. It doesn't really do much. It's all just blur and shake and shit. You don't really want that when you're playing. Unless you want the immersion, you can turn the shake up for like campaign or some shit, but I wouldn't do that. I don't even think there's a campaign in the beta right now. Everything else is to your own liking. So, alright guys, here we go for the in-game view of what the game looks like. I'll just stand here. We're getting about 150 FPS. I was getting 200 before I started recording. You'll probably notice right around 160 to 180 in the game if you have a decent CPU and GPU. But if you're on lower end, you may notice about 100 FPS, and that's probably fine. It's looking pretty good and clear. You can see enemies pretty well, and visuals look decent. Show you a gunfight here. Come on, buddy. He's gone. It looks pretty decent. And this is just trying to get good visual and FPS out of the game. I think this is about as good as it's going to get a good mix. If you're looking to get more FPS out of the game, then I would go back and change some of the texture qualities from high to low. If you're just trying to squeeze out every bit of FPS, just turn everything off and low. But this is the best, like, for both worlds here. And you can see that the game looks decent enough to play, and you can see people very easily. You know, it may not look the prettiest, but the main thing here is to make sure we can see the enemy and we're getting a good FPS where it's fun to play on. And I am playing on 1440p, which you may notice differences on 1080p. 1080p you'll probably run into a little better of FPS for yourself, but since I'm playing on a 4090, I want to play on 1440p to squeeze out more my graphics card, because playing on a higher resolution actually taxes your graphics card rather than your processor. And this game is a processor more so intense game. It uses about 90% of my processor right now, and that is with a 13700K. There we go. Fuck. Well, that's the end of this video. I hope you guys liked it. I'll see you next time.